Hey friends, welcome back to Align Vitality. If you've been listening for a while, you might have noticed something. I started this journey way back in the Grace-Filled Leader podcast days about leadership, people-pleasing, surrender, approval-seeking, and ultimately on the foundation of faith. I was passionate and still am about helping professional women break free from overfunctioning and striving as part of a calling that I really feel on my life to witness to the power of the Holy Spirit's leading in our lives. As believers, I believe our ultimate purpose on this earth is to make heaven crowded, to glorify God in all that we do so that we might bring the hope of Christ to a troubled world. Now, somewhere along the way, you've heard me start talking about cortisol, hormones, gut health, nervous system regulation, functional lab testing. And maybe you've wondered, did she pivot? Did she change direction? Did she leave Christian life coaching behind altogether? Well, the answer is no. I didn't pivot as much as I've evolved. And today I want to explain why, because it really matters. And I've been trying to connect the dots in my own head so that I could better explain it to you so it didn't seem totally disconnected, because you'll notice on my show the content shifts between functional health content, leadership content, and faith content. Do you want to recharge your energy, restore your mental clarity, and finally feel like yourself again? Well, you are in the right place. Welcome to Align Vitality, the podcast that offers faith and functional health strategies for high-achieving, health-conscious women in midlife who want to heal from chronic stress, body and spirit. I'm your host, Tanya, a certified functional health practitioner, Christian life coach, and fellow midlife woman who knows what it's like to look strong on the outside while struggling silently on the inside. Here, we get real about anxiety, brain fog, burnout, hormone shifts, and the hidden toll of chronic stress. And more importantly, we talk about the path to healing. Each week, you'll find practical strategies and faith-fueled encouragement to help you restore your God-given energy, calm your nervous system, and reclaim peace in this season of life. If you're ready to stop pushing through and start thriving in the abundant life you were created for, let's get after it. This is Align Vitality. When I first began Christian life coaching and podcasting, the mission was pretty clear. I wanted to help professional women like me who were exhausted from trying to prove themselves. Women who were high achievers, deeply responsible, faith-filled, but quietly or not so quietly anxious, overextended, carrying far more than they should. Women who were living in a constant state of internal pressure, needing to be enough, do enough, fix enough. I understood that woman because I was that woman. For years, I've believed my worth was tied to my performance in leadership, in motherhood, in marriage, and underneath that striving was fear. Fear of disappointing people, fear of being misunderstood, fear of not being liked, fear of not being approved of, fear of not being enough. So I pushed. I overfunctioned. I worried and worried and worried. I carried more than was mine to carry, and eventually my body paid the price. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer over a decade ago, it was one of many events that forced me to slow down a bit. But if I'm honest, slowing down didn't immediately change my mindset. I still functioned as if, and deep down believed that rest had to be earned, that surrender was passive. I thought that if I just organized better and prayed harder, I could manage the stress in my life. But here's what I've come to understand through both experience, living life, and more education. Chronic stress doesn't just live in our thoughts, it lives in our physiology. It changes your hormones, it dysregulates your nervous system, it impacts your metabolism, it affects your immune function, it disrupts sleep, it drives inflammation. And here's the part that changed everything for me. The body does not know the difference between physical stress and emotional stress. Your system responds the same way to a board meeting, a difficult conversation, an angry bear in the woods, a late night worry spiral, or the quiet belief that everything depends on you. Stress is stress. And most of the women that I serve or work alongside, they aren't just busy. They're in chronic fight or flight. Now, as I continued my own healing journey, I began studying functional health more deeply, and what I learned validated what I experienced. In functional practice, we're taught that chronic stress is at the root of most health complaints. Hormone imbalances, weight resistance, anxiety, fatigue, gut dysfunction, brain fog, sleep disruption. You can clean up your diet, you can take supplements, you can exercise consistently, but if stress is not addressed, your healing will stall. And here's where it clicked for me. Stress management is not just breathing exercises or time blocking or using meditation apps. For many high-capacity women, stress is very much spiritual. It's the burden of control. It's the fear of letting go. It's the belief that if we don't hold everything all together, it will fall apart. And that's where my Christian life coaching and functional health training really converged, because true stress recovery requires both strategy and surrender. One of the most beautiful things I've come to appreciate more is how intricately God designed the human body. He created systems that regulate, restore, repair, and heal. The body is not fragile by design. It is very resilient when it is supported properly. But resilience requires rest, safety, nourishment, trust. And when we live in chronic striving, when we override our need for rest, when we ignore our own boundaries, when we operate from anxiety instead of trust, we're not cooperating with His great design. We are fighting it. Functional health is not separate from faith for me. It is a way of honoring God's design. It is a way of living in alignment. When we prioritize sleep, when we regulate stress, when we nourish our bodies, when we create margin, we are stewarding that He has entrusted to us. We can live with abundance, with vitality, when we live in alignment with our great Creator's design. Over time, I've realized my work isn't limited to just healthcare leaders like me. It's not even limited to leadership roles at all. My heart is really for high-capacity women, especially those who struggle with anxiety and the outward presentation of anxiety, the women who carry the burdens of others on their shoulders, who are navigating hormonal shifts, who are feeling anxious and overextended, who can't lose weight the way they once could, who wake up at 2 a.m. with racing thoughts, who feel very tired, but somehow wired. And underneath it all, they still believe that they need to do more to deserve rest. That belief alone can dysregulate your nervous system. There are many functional health practitioners who will help you interpret your functional lab tests. There are many Christian life coaches who will encourage you to trust and follow God. But there are very few that are addressing how approval-seeking, performance-driven identity and chronic striving are literally driving cortisol dysfunction. Very few are connecting overfunctioning to hormone depletion, or anxiety to blood sugar instability, or boundary issues to inflammation, or spiritual unrest to sleep disruption. Very few are connecting a faith-fueled foundation to a functional health strategy. And this is where my work is going, not away from faith, but deeper into it. Not away from science, but deeper into integration. When I work with women, we look at stress patterns. We explore, why are you over-carrying? What are you afraid will happen if you let go? What beliefs are keeping your nervous system on high alert? And where is rest felt maybe unsafe? Yes, we may run functional labs. We will adjust nutrition. We'll support the body with targeted supplementation, but we also address the spiritual root: control, fear, identity, trust, because you cannot supplement your way out of a nervous system that never feels safe. And you cannot truly regulate your body while believing that everything depends on you. Aligned vitality is not about optimizing for performance. It's about alignment between your body and your soul, your leadership and your limits, your faith and your physiology. It's about moving from survival mode to sustainable peace. It's about healing chronic stress at the root, body and spirit. That's the evolution, not a pivot, an integration. If you're listening to this and thinking, I feel this, but I don't even know where to start. Well, start small. Ask yourself, where am I carrying something that really isn't mine to carry, or that I just can't carry anymore? Where have I equated rest with laziness? Where have I confused control with faithfulness? Your body may be signaling something that your soul needs to hear. And that doesn't mean you failed. It means you're being invited into better alignment. My friends, I want to thank you for being here since the beginning, in the middle, and here in this newer season. Thank you for walking with me as this vision becomes clearer, as God just points me in new or clearer directions. If any of this resonates with you, I'd love for you to share this episode with another midlife woman who's quietly exhausted from holding it all together. And if you're ready to explore what healing from chronic stress could look like for you, body and spirit, I'd love to walk alongside you. You were never designed to live in constant fight or flight mode. Healing is possible, peace is possible, alignment is possible. And it really does begin with surrender, which, if you remember, the idea of surrender goes way back to my first episode. Friends, until next time, lead well, live well, and be well. And I'll see you here next week. Thank you so much for joining me today, my friend. If today's episode encouraged or blessed you, would you please take a minute to leave a rating and written review on Apple Podcasts? It means the world to me, and it helps more women like you discover this message of hope and healing. If you're ready to take the next step in your functional health journey, join my interest list at alignvitalityhealth.com. And remember, this podcast is for educational purposes only. It is not intended to be medical advice, nor is it intended to diagnose or treat disease. Please consult your healthcare provider before making changes to your health. Until next time, I'm Tanya Ingesheather, reminding you that healing is possible and your best season is still ahead.